Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass. Sad news to report: the death toll in the U.S. rising to 30 now from Matthew's wrath.
I'm Anna Rodriguez. This morning, we're keeping an eye on Raleigh, currently under a flood warning as a dam faces the imminent threat of failing. But let's talk about the towns in North Carolina that are still dealing with high water, people who can't.
Problems as well. So this is going to take a while to clean up from and really get our lives back to normal here. Not just across North Carolina, but Southeast Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, still reeling from Matthew as well. But as we take a look at the rainfall, it was just really incredible to see this kind of rain. We're talking more than 2 feet of rain for North Myrtle Beach, when on average we typically see about 7.4. Charleston saw almost 2 feet, as well as Wilmington, North Carolina. So that is a lot of rain, and a lot of that coming in a short period of time thanks to Matthew. So it's really the freshwater flooding that is causing the problems that we're still seeing. That is really basically what happened in Raleigh. We had a lot of water rescues taking place in Wake County. There you see 12 to 18 inches showing up in the pink around Lumberton, Fayetteville. The governor just yesterday, the governor saying, please don't even try to enter Fayetteville because it's just too dangerous with all the debris and high water. And all of this equates to 5.1 trillion gallons of water. That is how much rainwater fell across this region. So as we take a look at the continuing flood warnings, you can see it showing up in the green anywhere from Norfolk, Virginia Beach, right through North Carolina, South Carolina as well. And a lot of these flood warnings are probably going to continue beyond the weekend because it's going to take a while to get these gauges down. I mean, we're talking about a dozen flood gauges now in major flood, and you can still see a lot of moderate flooding going on as well. Some rivers have yet to crest. Over the next couple of days, we'll finally see that happen, and then eventually we'll see the river coming back down again. But take a look at Lumberton, the Lumber River, crested already, but it's still in major flood stage. In fact, it's still above the old being both here in Raleigh as well as Charleston, South Carolina. So that really is the blessing in all this. We've got some decent weather to talk about. Right now, we're starting off a bit foggy, still a lot of moisture, of course, in Raleigh, 43 degrees, 56 in Nashville. We've got 52 cool degrees in Atlanta. Some of the suburbs getting down into the 40s. Time to inspect the furnaces and the fireplaces, make sure they're good to go as we enter the cooler season, of course. Today's high, only about 69 degrees in Raleigh, 76 degrees in Atlanta. Pretty warm in Florida. And speaking of Florida, we are going to have more of an onshore flow, especially across the east coast of Florida. So that will mean the chance for some showers in places like Miami and Fort Lauderdale. But for Nashville, Atlanta, and Charlotte, brilliant sunshine, not just today, but tomorrow. We keep it dry into Thursday as well. The only bad news is we need the rain. I mean, we have a drought going on in places like Atlanta. Our deficit or departure from average is over 5 inches for the year. Huntsville, Alabama, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chattanooga, Tennessee, also running well below where we should be for this time of the year. In fact, for Chattanooga, we're more than a foot below where we should be. So here's a look at the drought monitor, which continues to worsen across North Georgia. Sections of Tennessee as well. That darker shade of red, that is the worst category of drought. That's your exceptional drought category, and we've seen that expand, especially over North Georgia, the southern Appalachians. And as we take a look at our rainfall forecast ending Friday, we don't see a drop of rain anywhere in these areas that really need it. Well, other weather stories across the country on this Tuesday morning here.
What's happening here back home? In the Northeast, you're finding the sunny side of the street, and you're scraping ice, frost off your windshield.
That time of the year,
so, Kelly.
Time to put everything away. Growing season is pretty much coming to an end here across New England, especially. We say good morning to you, Burlington. Putting the burr in Burlington this morning. It is 34 degrees right now. We are under a frost advisory through 8 o'clock, and it looks like more and more people are going to be seeing that first freeze of the season. You can see where we have the freeze warnings in effect showing up in the pink through the Mohawk Valley, parts of the Capital District, otherwise the blue showing us where we've got those frost advisories. This is what it is right now. As you look at the thermometer, it's 44 in Boston, 47 degrees in New York, and notice it's a north wind, and that is why, as Anna said, you're going to be looking for that sunny side of the street. It's going to be a little chilly, 38 degrees to start you off in Buffalo, but it is going to be a beautiful afternoon once we get that sunshine going. That really tends to help things out at least a little bit. Average. I was just talking about the Northeast and how chilly it is this morning, and as we go through the afternoon, even slightly below average, but that's quite the opposite going on here in the Southern Plains. You're 57 degrees in Oklahoma City, 57 Shreveport, 51 degrees in Austin there on 6th Street. And as we go through the day, notice how we have more of a southerly flow across the Central and Southern Plains. That's going to help those temperatures get well up into the 80s, even 90 in Lubbock, Texas for today. Beautiful though in Denver, 77, but elsewhere elsewhere, yeah, it's still all about the AC having to run this time of the year. That is kind of rough, right? Here is a look at our forecast for Houston. Your average high, 83 degrees, well above that all the way into this weekend. Certainly doesn't feel like the middle of October. New weather developments overnight. Let's check power trucks. You know, those utility trucks, they can't get through those floodwaters to get to those poles that are still submerged in some cases. We have a look at Minneapolis, where of course it's dry this morning here in the Twin Cities. You've got 59 degrees. We're actually looking at some pretty decent weather. Of course, your Minnesota Vikings are the only undefeated team in the NFL. So yeah, definitely feeling more like football weather here across the upper Midwest and on into the Northeast as well. Your average high though, Minneapolis is 61. So it's actually a little bit above average today, 69 degrees, dropping it down to 40s tonight, and then low to mid 30s as we head into tomorrow night into Thursday. And notice how the high temperatures are going to be below average as well. So time to grab the fleece, the sweaters, the jackets. You will be needing them as temperatures are going to be sliding on down. We've got a cold front sliding on down as well. That's ushering in that cooler air, that northerly flow. You got the warm air just to the south. I covered the southern plains just a few moments ago, where temperatures here are going to be in the upper 80s. But here across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, that is where it is going to be chilly. In fact, 5 to 15 degrees below average for the next few days, right up into the weekend. So here's a look at our forecast for today. Only in the low to mid 40s. These are your high temperatures. That's as good as it gets for places like Bismarck and Rapid City. 43 International Falls tomorrow. Near 50 degrees for Minneapolis, but again below average. 57 degrees for Chicago as we head towards Thursday. Perhaps even a little bit of a wind chill out there too when you factor in that north wind. But we do see temperatures basically go back to the warmer side of things as we head towards Friday. And it is the power of water. 29 past the hour now as AMHQ rolls on. This morning we've got 6.1 million people still waking up to flood warnings.
We continue to monitor the situation in North Carolina, where several rivers are rising and some are expected to crest at record levels. And we've still got people, authorities say, stranded in their homes. They can't get out because of these flood waters.
And then there are the people who want to get back to their homes to see what kind of damage was left behind. But it's still going to be a while because we're talking heavy rain from blue sky overhead. You've got that sunshine, but yet you still have rivers that are on the rise, inundating so many neighborhoods at this hour. So Greenville, North Carolina, we've been tracking the Tar River. Latest observation at 21.62, but it still has yet to crest. It's going to happen probably by about Thursday or Friday at a little over 24 feet. So we are still rising along the Tar River. And look at the recent rainfall. No wonder. The rivers could only handle so much. The ground already saturated. You can see what we had here, North Myrtle Beach, well over 2 feet of rain. Norfolk, Virginia, picking up nearly 2 feet of rain. Your averages, by the way, are down below. Should be nearly 6 inches for Norfolk. And 26.1 in Fayetteville, where, of course, the Lumber River has been the issue for us. So take a look at the entire state of North Carolina. We're talking in the red, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of rain. So a lot of freshwater inland flooding, courtesy of Matthew. Yes, there was some storm surge along the coastline. And what's so sad is so many people evacuated the coast and then had to be rescued further inland because of all the freshwater flooding and the rivers coming up out of their banks. So we continue to have flood warnings. About a dozen flood gauges in the purple are still in major flood right now. Will likely still be in major flood as we go into the weekend. Talk about the Lumber River here at Lumberton, North Carolina. We have crested, so that's the good news. The bad news is we're going to stay in major flood for quite some time. In fact, right now we're at 21.5 feet, so we still have a lot of streets that are closed in the area. Pines area isolated. Most of Stevenson Park flooded. Flooding worsens in the Pines area typically, but this has really been just an awful situation here in North. Out there, survey some of the damage. A lot of trees came down. There were so many power outages across the state of South Carolina. Coastal Georgia impacted, as well as, of course, Florida. Daytona Beach, you know, Jacksonville area, Flagler Beach. We saw A1A basically caved in due to severe erosion. So we've got a lot to clean up in the coming days, and thankfully the weather is going to cooperate. Lots of sunshine. You'll notice a cool high of 69. That is such good news, especially for people without power. You're not going to need to use the AC. All right, so for Nashville, Atlanta, and Charlotte, you got the sunshine for today. That will continue tomorrow and even into Thursday. In fact, some of you don't even get any rain until beyond the weekend time frame, and that's bad news in terms of the drought. Atlanta, we're down about 5 inches now for the year. Huntsville, Alabama, our deficit about 6.5 inches. Charlotte, North Carolina could use some rainfall. We did see some from Matthew. Chattanooga, though, look at your deficit, your departure from average. 13.76 inches. That is severe to exceptional. The darker red on this map indicating that worst level of drought right here in the northwest corner of Georgia, southeastern Tennessee as well. So we really need to get some rainfall in here, but the long-term forecast is just not showing it. As you can see, Hurricane Matthew basically inundated the coastal areas, even central portions of North and South Carolina, but we just did not get that rainfall where we need it in North Georgia and also in the western parts, the Piedmont of western North Carolina and Asheville. So here's our rainfall forecast ending Friday. We do see a front moving on through, but only up to an inch of rain here and nothing, not a drop of rain where we need it the most. Anna Rittis is keeping an eye on other weather stories around the country on this cleanup along the Carolina coastline. And thankfully, we don't have any weather systems bothering us. The tropics are behaving, thank goodness. So we only have sunny skies for places like Myrtle Beach, Charleston, South Carolina, on up towards Norfolk and Virginia Beach, where we're still looking at residual flooding left over from Matthew. There's your next system, though, moving through the Midwest, bringing rain to Chicago, but then drying out by Thursday. Some of that rain scooting on into the Northeast. Remember, some of you need that rain. We got that drought, especially in western New York, but it clears out by Friday. We will maybe see some thunderstorms breaking out across the southern plains, Oklahoma City down to Dallas. And look at this system in the west. You've got the rain from Seattle to San Francisco, a little wind along the coast as well. And it's nice to see the rain in California where we really need it, but we do not have any rain in the southeast Atlanta, where of course we need it as well. Another system scooting on through the eastern lakes on Sunday, but dry. So far so good in New York. Well, still ahead this morning on AMHQ early. Hurricane Matthew done, gone, but we're still keeping an eye on the tropics. We've got an update for you.